Okay. Now you should be able to see that. So good morning, or good morning, or afternoon, or evening, or night, everyone, and welcome to the first online event of the EALTA Special Interest Group on Artificial Intelligence for Language Assessment. My name is Nazlı Göktürk, and I'll be serving as the moderator for this session. As a member of the team, so I would like to begin with a brief presentation to provide you with some background information on how this group was formed, along with a few updates from our current activities. So everything began with an EALTA webinar given by Dr. Olena Rossi in May 2023, shortly after ChatGPT has gained widespread attention. Olena's webinar focused on the use of AI for item generation, which also sparked quite a lot of interest among the participants. So at the end of her talk, she made an open call for volunteers and who would be interested in setting up and running a special interest group dedicated to specifically this topic. So 5 people stepped up, and then they started working on establishing this special interest group. And these lucky people, so here you can see the team behind this special interest group. So we have 2 conveners, Olena and Shah. Olena is an independent language testing consultant. Shah is from British Council. She's a language assessment researcher. I'm working for the Ministry of National Education, and then we have Pep Montcada from the Ministry of Education in Spain. And then we have Stefan O'Grady from the University of St. Andrews, and Darren Perrett from Cambridge University Press and Assessment. We are also fortunate to have 3 advisors who kindly accepted our invitation, Tony Green, Barry O'Sullivan, and Dr. Veronica Timpe-Laughlin. So this SIG aims to provide a dedicated forum for discussing and sharing knowledge and practices in the use of AI in language assessment. It also aims to enhance transparency in this field by promoting best practices, and to explore present and future developments in the field and foster meaningful discussions on this subject. Now let's take a look at the activities we have done so far. As you can see from the second half of 2023 through early 2024, we focused on completing this SIG, especially the procedures that need to be completed, like paperwork and all the proposals and so on. In March 2024, we had an election to appoint 2 conveners, who are Olena and Shah. And in April 2024, we participated in the EALTA SIG Summit. And then this was followed by the official inauguration of the SIG at the EALTA conference in Belfast. In the early months of 2024, we worked on the preparations for this online event. Let's have a look at our current activities, which can be kind of grouped into 3 main categories. So the first category is publication. So we are working on a scoping review of AI in language assessment research, and this review aims to map out what has been done in the field so far and identify areas that would require further exploration. The second category is conference presentations. As you can see, we will have a strong presence at the upcoming EALTA conference with 3 presentations. In the first one, we will share the preliminary findings of our ongoing research, the scoping review. And in the second presentation, Olena and Pep will share their research on the generation of reading test items with AI. And in the third one, I'll share the findings of a study on the linguistic features of AI-generated listening texts. Last but not least, we will also host a joint event with the Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion SIG at the conference. And I would like to also remind everyone that the call for proposals is still open, and so we encourage members who would be interested in this joint event to submit their proposals. I think that should be open by mid-March. So here you can see our website, which is embedded within the official IALTA website. By clicking on this special interest group button, you will find a list of special interest groups, including ours on AI in language assessment. As you scroll down the website, you will see that we are a hardworking group. So we have compiled key resources related to AI in language assessment. Additionally, we have built a digital library containing studies on the use of AI. But these studies come from not just our own field, I mean the field of language testing, but also the broader field of educational measurement. So if you are interested in any of these topics, you should definitely check out these resources. Well, currently we don't have any official social media accounts, but we're working on it. So please stay tuned and follow our updates in the website. We really hope that we will be able to have Twitter and LinkedIn accounts very soon. Now, before I finish my presentation and invite our plenary speaker, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. As you know, our event program includes 2 plenary speakers, followed by a series of presentations in parallel sessions. Specifically, we will have 3 paper presentations, 2 work-in-progress sessions, and then 1 demonstration. 2 plenary speakers will be here in room 1. So for the closing plenary, please remember to come back to room 1. And all the sessions will be recorded, so please switch off your videos and keep your microphones muted. I also would like to note that only the recordings of presentations without Q&A sessions will be shared in our YouTube channel. And you can find the link to the full program in the chat. And at the end of each presentation, there will be a Q&A session. So for this session, you can use the chat function in order to ask your questions or engage in discussions. And this is a request to our presenters. Please be mindful of the time so that we can accommodate as many questions as possible. The entire program will last around 3 hours with a short 10-minute break between the sessions. And this break is going to be at 2:50 p.m. according to UK time. So if you need any additional assistance or if you encounter any technical issues during the event, please shoot us an email at ialta@gmail.com. With that being said, now, I would like to, without further ado, I would like to invite our first plenary speaker, I would like to invite our first plenary speaker, Dr. Sha Liu, to give her opening remarks. Sha Liu is a test development researcher in the language testing in English language research group at the British Council and co-convener of the IALTA AI SIG. She holds a PhD in language assessment from the University of Bristol, where her research focused on automated speaking and writing evaluation, automated feedback generation, and the application of eye tracking measures to understand learner engagement. She specializes in leveraging generative AI tools to enhance personalization, scalability, and learning potential of automated feedback systems for both educational and commercial applications. She has published in leading language testing journals, presents regularly at international conferences, and her work has been recognized with multiple awards. She serves on the editorial advisory board of Language Assessment Quarterly and the Early Career Research Board of Assessing Writing, and the editorial board of Research Synthesis in Applied Linguistic. So today she will be presenting on the topic Reimagining Speaking Assessment, the Multimodal Revolution Powered by Generative AI. So Dr. Liu, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction, Nasalina. And given that Nasalina just mentioned the title of my presentation, I don't think I need to repeat that. And let's just go straight into my presentation for today. And before that, before I move into the details of my whole talk, let's focus on one specific Twitter post, or which I should say X post. And this was posted around Christmas time when everybody was discussing what gifts we should be giving to family members and friends. And when I was scrolling down the comments back on this post, I was getting really confused because I couldn't really understand most of the comments given the cultural references. That was the time when I decided to refer back to my AI tools, or I call them my AI friends, my AI buddies. And let me just demonstrate how I usually made use of such kind of tools to help myself better understanding the cultural information while practicing my speaking ability. Just give me 1 second. And hopefully my ChatGPT 4.5 today will be behaving. Fingers crossed. I hope you can see my phone screen. I'm activating my ChatGPT 4.5 model, and I'm now activating the live chat function of this model, or we call it ChatGPT Wins Vision.
That's correct. With ChatGPT 4.5, you're able to use the live chat and vision features to enhance your experience.
Sorry to interrupt. You don't need to tell me what ChatGPT Wins Vision is about. I'm actually calling you to ask for your help to understand a X post, which I don't necessarily understand.
Sure, I'm happy to help. What's the X post you need help understanding?
Okay, I'm showing you the post now on the screen. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. The post mentioned that your partner and you agreed not to exchange gifts, but they got you one anyway. And now you're wondering what you can get them last minute. Do you need help brainstorming ideas?
No, I don't need any brainstorming for the gift ideas. I have no problem understanding this post, but I found it really challenging to understand the comment. I will show you now.
Sure, just show me the comment and I'll help you figure it out.
Yeah, so what does it mean? So the first comment posted by yourself is one of the options better be coal. My question for you is why coal?
Coal is associated with a traditional holiday trope where someone who's been naughty received coal instead of a present. It's used humorously here to suggest giving your partner coal for breaking the agreement of no gifts. It's just a playful way to acknowledge the situation.
Ah, in that case, do you think you might need some coal from me?
No, I think you're good. But if you ever need more help with anything else, feel free to ask.
Oh, thank you. Good to know. And before I go, can you just give me some kind of evaluation of my speaking ability? First, give me a score according to the CEFR level, and then just briefly comment on my speaking fluency, my pronunciation, and my interaction with you.
Based on our conversation, I'd say your speaking ability is around a C1 level on the CEFR scale. You speak fluently and naturally, with clear pronunciation and good interaction. Keep up the great work.
Ah, thank you for being so generous. You might know that I'm actually giving a talk. Thank you. Bye. I will talk to you later. So just by demonstrating what I usually use is my AI body for, we have already touched upon quite a few key terms or key topics of my presentation today. And now let me just show you the overview of my presentation. First, what do we mean by multimodal assessment? And what is the theoretical foundation? And how do we do it in practice? And then what do we mean, where are we in terms of multimodality in AI development? And then do we have any toolkit that we can use for AI-enhanced multimodal speaking assessment? And then I will end my presentation with a brief discussion, both in terms of the challenges and also in terms of the questions that we might need to think about when framing or when thinking about multimodal speaking assessment. So without further ado, what do we mean by multimodal assessment? And here we are focusing on 3 key questions, or I should say, these are the questions I would usually go over when I'm thinking about this kind of assessment. So what is it? And how does this type of assessment evolve from the traditional way of assessing speaking ability? And why it is so important, especially now, given the rapid advancement of AI tools. And I would like to highlight a key point based on my own understanding, and also another keynote speaker, Diamantopoulou, at the Baltic Meeting last year, as well as my PhD supervisor, Dr. Guo Xingyu's workshops. And here, multimodality doesn't necessarily mean multimediality. What do we mean by that? I think for most of us, when thinking about multimodality, we might be thinking, oh, does that mean that we combine different modes of information into one single task, and therefore we are achieving multimodality? I guess my answer for this is yes and no, and not necessarily. So the purpose of multimediality in traditional sense, it's about presenting information using various media platforms such as videos, slideshows, images, and textual information, etc. And the purpose is usually about delivery of the content without necessarily requiring the interaction between different modes. But when it comes to multimodality, especially in the assessment sessions or in our daily communication context, most of the time, we are creating and convey meaning, use multiple modes of communication, such as linguistic, visual, and auditory, while in the same time processing or responding to multi-modes of input. And the focus here is about integration and interaction of modes in order to enhance our meaning making. Just as demonstrated in my live chat with my AI body, I, as a speaker, was engaging with multiple modes of information and also multiple skills at the same time. For example, listening and speaking, and interacting with him, and even trying to throw a joke at him, which apparently worked okay. And given that background, now we are looking at the key aspects of multimodal assessment. And again, inspired by the Call4 special issue by Dr. Guo Xingyu and Tony Clark in 2023, and also the workshops given by Dr. Guo Xingyu at different occasions, I summarized 3 key aspects. The first one, it's about engaging multimodal task inputs. I think this is an immediate response whenever we think about this type of assessment. That is using diverse inputs, such as videos, images, graphs, etc., as interconnected and complementary. That's the key. And the second principle is about integrating different language skills. Traditionally, we might be thinking listening into speaking, writing into speaking, etc. But now we might also be looking at other skills. And then promoting digital multimodal composing. Recently, we have seen papers published about how to measure and how to improve the students' digital multimodal composing ability, mainly in terms of writing improvement. But how about speaking? Is there any way for us to tap into this specific aspect of multimodal assessment as well? I guess that's a question for us to think about throughout the whole presentation today. And how does multimodal assessment change from the traditional assessment? Here I provide a brief timeline. We were looking at the discrete tasks before the year of 2000. And then we move on to focusing on integrated writing tasks, for example, integrated tasks, and with integrated writing tasks as one of the typical example. And then now we are focusing on multimodal tasks, especially in the past 2 or 3 years, given the change of, given the fast improvement of AI models. And here is another perspective of how they might be different, similar and different from each other. And I don't think I will have time to go through each point that I have shown here. But let's just focus on the challenges of each type of assessment task. When we look at discrete tasks, we are usually dealing with a lack of engagement and the real-world irrelevance. For example, when we evaluate or assess the test taker's writing ability by using multiple choice questions. Sorry, might just be my fried brain after the jet lag. And we are suffering from the lack of engagement potentially, and also the lack of representativeness of the real life writing tasks. And then when we deal with integrated tasks, it's already some form of improvement from the original discrete tasks, but at the same time, we are still in a lack of linguistic, the non-linguistic modes. For example, paralinguistic features, like you may notice I use my hands a lot, but this might not necessarily be captured in the traditional form of integrated speaking tasks. And then when we look at multimodal tasks, and we are expecting a lot of advantages as compared to the previous types, but at the same times, we are suffering from dependence on advanced tools, complex scoring. For example, how do we define the construct when AI tools are integrated into the multimodal tasks? And then we're also looking at the greater resource demands. For this to happen, we might need the tools themselves. We might also need item writers who are good when using those tools, and also the evaluation experts who know how to assess such kind of ability. And so here, that welcomes another question, why it is so important now. Multimodality is not necessarily a new concept, especially when it comes to meaning making or language teaching. But what is so important now in our field as assessment? And we can see that from two special issues. One by Dr. Guoxin Yu and Tony Clark in Language Assessment Quarterly, which I believe is soon to be published. And here we are looking at a key question, that is, to what extent is multimodality being operationalized in standardized settings in comparison to the use of them in small-scale teacher design assessments? Are they necessarily the same? I guess that's the question open for discussion. And then we're also looking at another call for papers, which is still calling for papers. And the deadline is 1st of May. So please check it out if you're interested. And now we're looking at multimodal generative artificial intelligence in language education in general. But what is highly relevant to my presentation today is multimodal Gen AI, generative AI for writing and speaking. And this might be another special issue for us to check out if we are looking at multimodal speaking assessment at a later stage. And we are also looking at some other research papers which just got published. They focus on the impact of using multimodal speaking assessment tasks in terms of relieving or reducing the speaking anxiety. And please check this paper out if you are interested in learning more, and I wouldn't have time to go into details. So given the background, given the prominence of this type of research, I guess we can look at the importance of multimodal assessment in general and multimodal speaking assessment in specific from 4 different perspectives. We're looking at enhancing or better representing real-world communication. And we are also looking at improving inclusivity of our different learning needs and their abilities. And then creativity and critical thinking. And lastly, we're also looking at digital and multimodal literacy. For example, just now we mentioned digital multimodal composing ability. And this is how this type of multimodal speaking assessment tasks look like in real life. Recently, last year, we had the first webinar delivered by Professor Tineke Brownford and Judith Komos, and regarding how we design, how can we design multimodal assessment tasks for the language classroom. And here's a typical task as shown in the webinar, that is viewing to compare and contrast. And recently we had another webinar by them. This time we are looking at how to evaluate the test takers or language learners' multimodal skills, especially in terms of what to measure and how do we measure them. And both of them are available in YouTube channels, I believe. And please just enjoy watching them. And this is another example of how multimodal speaking assessment may look like in practice from the industry perspective. What I'm showing now is the task development roadmap that we are using at British Council. As you can see here, from the get-go of the task design to the end of the speaking assessment, we are looking at the integration of AI tools at multiple stages. But what I would like to highlight today, given the limited time, is how important or how we can make good use of AI tools, especially Gen AI tools, for the initial task design circle. And I will move on to details about this section in my second part, that is multimodality in AI. What do we mean by multimodality in AI development? Is it the same with multimodal assessment? To some extent, that would be my understanding. And here we are calling this kind of multimodal language large language models. I know it's a tongue twister. I don't like saying it. We're also calling them multimodal Gen AI, because mostly we are making use of generative AI tools for this purpose. And they refer to raw systems that can process and integrate multiple input types, for example, text, speech, vision, by including images, gestures, and facial expressions, and also visual and context awareness by doing real-time interactions. And what do we have regarding this type of AI systems? Do we have anyone available? Yes, we do, but not many. For now, we are looking at the most prominent one, that is ChatGPT with vision. This one can deal with, as you just saw in my live demo, can deal with text, image, and visual cues at the same time. And it is available on the web only with the audio form, but if we use it on our phones, we can have all of these multimodal features. And then we have Google Gemini. And again, this is a model which has two applications. We have the web version. We also have the phone app. So on the web, if we are using Google Gemini, especially Google AI Studios, we are having all possible multimodal features: text, code, image, and audio, and even video. If we share our screen in real time, I will show you a screenshot of that later. And we're also looking at another one, which is potentially to be published, I would say, in sometime later this year. That's called Memo, which is developed by a Chinese team. This one is, you might argue that what is special about this one, since it is only dealing with text and audio? It is special because this one is going to be the first one which can offer full duplex conversation. What does that mean? As we now know, when we are dealing with AI tools, for example, ChatGPT, we need to wait for our turns. The AI tools can only listen and then respond. So it can't do it at the same time. But this model is going to change the game if it is ever to be published, because it can listen while interact with us. And this is a screenshot of the ChatGPT with vision function on my phone, as I have already demonstrated this, so I'm not going to talk too much about this. And then this is a screenshot of Google AI Studio with a multimodal live API function. As highlighted here, if we switch this function on, that is called stream real time, we will get all the multimodal features available. And this is the last one that I was talking about, Memo. And if we go, I have provided a link here. So if you click on the link, go to the GitHub website, you can watch the live interaction between the model and the users. What is really fun about this one, another feature that I forgot to mention just now, is it can speak dialects. And for example, it can interact with me in my own Sichuan dialect. That was really fun. And so what could be the potential roles of multimodal Gen AI in speaking assessment? And now we are looking at their functions of processing text, images, and audio forms, etc., etc. And then we're also looking at using them for language education purposes, such as AI-driven conversation stimulations, interactive lesson design, integrating all modes of input, and also the potentially using them as an AI speech tutors and ask them to analyze our speaking ability. And later on, I will show you another real life example, which has been really viral in the Chinese social media, and I will keep it as a secret for now. And then the potential of such kind of AI tools for speaking assessment could be simulating real-life scenarios where our language learners and test takers can observe and practice language in a dynamic and immersive environment. And do we have any tools ready for us? For example, as language assessment researchers, as item writers, as speaking teachers, etc., to make use of in order to promote multimodal speaking assessment? Yes, we do. And here we are looking at, as again, I would want to highlight that we are mainly looking at generative AI tools, because this is a suite of tools that are built on transformer architectures and language modeling, making them suitable for creating multimodal content, which is also shown here. And in terms of audio generation, we have 11 labs. I'm pretty sure you are familiar with this one. And we have Resembly AI and Speechify. All of them are about simulating or synthesizing voices for our different purposes. For example, when creating audios for our speaking tasks, we can even choose to have different accents in our audios by making use of these AI tools. But what I want to highlight is this one, Google Notebook LM. It's not necessarily a multimodal AI tool. I should make it clear here. It's based on a suite of AI tools to make it function as a potential multimodal platform. What this tool is especially good at is creating podcasts based on the transcript that we can provide. For example, if we want to simulate a dialogue between a professor and a student, and then use this dialogue as reading as a speaking input, this is a really good platform. And then, well, when talking about image generation, we're looking at multiple tools. And I put DALL-E 3 in the middle because that might be the one that we're most familiar with. And we're also looking at Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, Stable Diffusion, and Leonardo AI. But the thing is, I should point out, all of them may charge some amount of money. And DALL-E 3 might be available for Plus and Pro users. It might even be available for the free users. I can't tell because I'm using the subscription function, and with limited usage. And then we have video generation tools. And of course, we will always start with Sora because this is by far the most trendy topic in terms of video generation. And how about another one, Synthesia, which is also for video creation? I've provided all the links here because I don't have time to go into the details. Those ones are the typical English ones. How about another two, which are equally popular, if not more popular in the Chinese context? The first one is called Jimeng AI, and another one is called Hailuo AI. Both of them are really good at video creation. To some extent, I would argue personally, you might disagree, Hailuo AI is even better than Sora, both in terms of the processing speed and also in terms of the function. And Jimeng AI is especially good if you want to present yourself as a speaker, but not necessarily showing yourself. You can create the digital version of yourself and then lip sync your voice with the subtitles, which is really cool. Feel free to try it out yourself. So we have now talked about the collection of tools, and you might be asking, but how do I make good use of them? I can't just be putting a simple sentence saying, hey, create this video for me. Of course, all AI tools for now still lead or require prompting techniques. And that's why I provided the links here to different prompting online courses that can teach us how to do prompt engineering. But I should mention that different types of AI models require different types of prompting. When we were still using ChatGPT 4, we were using a different type of AI model. But now if we use DeepSeek, that is a typical reasoning model, it requires different prompting style and different prompting engineering. So if you are interested, please go ahead and check them out. And then prompting frameworks. We have a long list of them used by different researchers, and you might have seen them in different presentations. But personally, I would highly recommend the second one, CoStar. I have tried it out with many different tasks and for different purposes. so far it has been working well with all sorts of AI tools, including the thinking models and the reasoning models. And then here comes to the discussion. What are the advantages, and do we have any potential positive impact by having or by embracing those advantages? Yes, we do. We are now looking at personalized feedback and scalability. By making use of AI tools, we are looking at creating the speaking tasks at a much more time-efficient manner, in a much more time-efficient manner. And we might even be using those tools to synthesize data for us to validate our task design and our evaluation scheme, etc. And how about the scoring reliability? We are looking at consistent scoring. And I think our closing plenary today by Dr. Jing Xu will be touching upon this topic. And then we're also looking at the instant feedback, not just personalized, but also instant. And how about challenges? Whenever we talk about AI tools, we can't talk about the use of them without talking about, for example, the bias. And this might, for example, the bias of AI tools in terms of identifying and evaluating the accents of the speakers from different first language backgrounds. Is it still fair for different first language background users to be biased against or towards? That's something we need to think about, especially when it comes to the accuracy of automated speaking recognition. And then how about reliability and validity? Do we still need human evaluation, human expert judgment? Yes, we do. That's why we always talk about the responsible and ethical use of AI most of the time or all the time by keeping AI in the loop. By keeping human expert in the loop. And then how about ethical concerns? Especially when we are using, for example, the ChatGPT vision, are we not concerned about revealing too much of our private life? That is why it is highly recommended, even by those tools, saying if you are in a private environment, you might consider not switching on the camera. But of course, we have much more ethical concerns than what I have just shown here, but it's just the tip of the iceberg for us to think about. And then questions. I do have a lot of questions because I deal with them on a daily basis. That's why I share those questions with you guys to get your constructive feedback and input. And I would say, I should have said this at the beginning of my presentation, rather than answering questions, I'm here to pose questions for us to help each other out, to learn from each other in order to make better speaking assessment. And I don't think I'll have time to go through all of them, but let me focus on the first one. So, when we are designing the multimodal speaking assessment, how can we make sure that we are aligned with how our students, how our test takers naturally communicate and learn outside the assessment settings? What I'm showing here is a screenshot. I know it is in Chinese. Sorry, I didn't have time to translate the whole screenshot into English. Simply put, this is me searching the term using ChatGPT for IELTS preparation. And then I got so many of them. So this is on the Chinese social media called Xiaohongshu. We have literally hundreds of users every day posting or asking about how to make use of the live chat function of ChatGPT and Gemini to enhance their speaking ability in order to get ready for IELTS. And for example, one potential use of this type of AI tools is to use them as speech tutors, private speech tutors, to practice different parts of IELTS speaking tasks. And by far, based on what I have seen on this social media platform, it has been really popular among the potential test takers. And then here comes another set of questions about how do we deal with the ethical concerns when planning for multimodal speaking assessment and multimodal assessment in general. And lastly, we also have another set of questions for us to think about, especially when it comes to making decisions for our research and also for commercial purposes. Let me just focus on one of them. That is question number 9. What commercial considerations should institutions and companies weigh before thinking about or actually start designing multimodal speaking assessment tasks? We need to think about the cost. We need to think about the data privacy regulations, and we also need to think about the business models. Which business models can actually balance the AI accessibility, ethical considerations, and the potential benefits, the potential commercial benefits of doing so. That can also apply to the research settings. And that is the end of my presentation today. I have provided and will keep updating all the references and the resources that will be used for this topic, that is multimodal AI models and multimodal speaking assessment, on my GitHub page. So this is the repo. And if you scan this QR code, you will get the up-to-date information. Thank you so much. Back to you, Natalina.
Thank you very much. Well, that was a lot of information, and there are a lot of links to check in your slides. So thank you very much for sharing the recent developments too with respect